Right, okay, so this is the thing I've got where I created the user sprite and I made 4 of them. And I was messing about. It's going to be jerky because of the recording software. So, but that was just multiple copies of the same player-controlled sprite thing. All right. But you can see I've got the purple background now that I've done it properly. Okay. So it'd be interesting to put a graphic in the background. Now I haven't got much of a graphic that I'm going to show. So what I'm going to use, because I haven't got any graphics added to this, I'm going to quickly create my super background in Paint. Because why not? Right, sizes matter. When we're doing tile maps, okay, we need to have a canvas or an image size that is divisible by the size of the tile map. So if you've got a tile map that is 40 by 40, so each tile is 40 pixels, okay, you need to make sure that 40 is divisible into the width and the height of your tile map. You can have tiles that are a funny shape, but I don't recommend it. Okay, make them square for reasons that I won't go into. Okay, so I'm going to create, in fact I'm not going to do it in this because it picks stupid sizes. I'm just going to load fireworks up. If I can find Adobe. Fireworks, come on, where is it? Okay, so this is just for doing a standard background. There are other types of backgrounds you can make. You can make backgrounds that are made up of multiple images. So if you're doing some space shooter type thing, and you've got like some space thing that's 20,000 pixels wide, then you can make your tile map this way. Most people will want to make their tile maps that are going to be large out of standard blocks that they're going to repeat. Okay, so I'll do a different video showing that. Right, so I'm just going to create an epoxy one. This is just going to be, what was I running? Widescreen, I think. So yeah, 1280, 720. Now I know, because I'm clever, that 40 goes into 1280 and 720. Okay, so I'll be using that as my tile size when I set that up. So I'm just going to create an image that big. 720. Let's zoom out a bit. Right, what should we have? We'll have some fields. So let's go for some fields. They're green. It's just, it's looking a little bit like Drew's Tapper game, actually. Yeah, look. A little bit. I'm going to have a brooding sky with a little less brood in bits of it. There's going to be a tree. I'm not going to change brush because I can't be bothered. There's a tree. Got a tree in my back garden. And there's a dog. A red dog. But he's permanently in the background. So you've got to bear in mind what you do. He's permanent. If I want a flashing logo, I'll do that separate. I'll do it as a sprite. There's a dog. He's investigating the tree. Anyway, that's my background. So I'm going to just dump it somewhere. Put it on the D drive. Just dump it there. I could use a smiley face. I should use that. Right, so that's my background set. Right, what you've got to bear in mind is I've just saved this in the D drive, but when I add this to my project, that is a copy. So you must not edit the old one because you'll be going, it's not changing, it's not changing. You don't get the nuance of me wobbling my head about on the video, do you, when I'm screen capturing? But there you go. But I'll show you what I mean by that in a sec. So the first job, add it to the graphics. So add existing item. So I showed you this with the sprites for some people the other day. There's my background, add it. Second thing I need to do, I need to go to assets and I need to create a texture to hold it. So I'm going to create that. Texture 2D. I'll make that big, hang on. Texture 2D. Put a prefix in front of it so we can find the textures easy when we can't remember what they're called. So this is title back, I'm going to call it. The third thing we need to do, we need to add code to ask the game manager to load it. Okay, so we're just going to copy and paste that. We don't need the progress bar making again. This bit of code here is just where am I to put the graphic once it's been loaded. So I say, well, when this has been loaded, please store it there. And then I can refer to it as TX title back. Last bit I need to do is put the name. I do not put the extension, because this is going to get renamed, the extension anyway. I have to put fireworks in system, put in FW. Don't know why. It doesn't really matter to me. But that isn't an extension. That's just part of the file name, that. Okay, so they're the things that will get it loaded. The next thing I need to do is now create my custom tile map. So I am going to do Shift, Alt and C, which hopefully will bring up the class adder. So I'm going to call this title tile map, and I'm going to add it. Okay, right. I'm going to be using elements of the game engine, so I need to include some library stuff. Quick way of doing it, just go to the top and copy of another file, engine 7. That one, Paul, cheers. You're now on my video. Not that I care, because I don't care. And copy all the X and A libraries as well. Stick that on. Right. If you ever get library not found or reference or something not found, it's because you haven't imported the right libraries. Alright, so just always do that as you start up. Right, I'm going to be picking that all up, Josh, on my vid. So keep the vol down. Alright. Right, we want to extend the Game Engine's Tilemap class. Okay, so that's how we show the inheritance. I'm going to make this public. Okay, don't misspell it like that, because it ain't that. It won't. It'll give you an error. It's not pubic, it's public. Okay, and then for this basic system, all we need to do is make a constructor. Once we start doing more complicated tile maps, you'll be adding methods and other data and stuff. But we're just going to create a constructor for this. Okay, so at the top, constructor, it's got to have the same name as the class. Okay, now we don't need to pass any data to it, but what we're going to do is we have to call the base tile map to set a few things up. Okay, so you can see as soon as we type base, it comes up and it says there are 11 ways of creating a tile map. Okay, because there are, because I went a bit mad when I did this. Okay, and you can flick through to find the ones you want. What we want is one that sets a texture and the size we want the points to be, because we want to set how big the tile map's going to be. Okay, so we're looking at that one. So the texture I want is gm.tx title back, and I want to set the tile size. Now I said 40 by 40 will go into this, so I'm going to say new point 40 by 40. Okay, make sure you've got all the brackets at the end. So what that does is when we create our tile map, it runs the tile map underneath. So it sets up some stuff. Okay, and all that code does there, it says, right, I want to make a tile map the same size as that texture, and I want to split all the tiles into 40 by 40. But you can have whatever size you want. Okay. Right, so inside the constructor, we can put some extra data where we can start messing about. So I'm just going to call this title background. That is just for debugging purposes, the name. Okay, so that if you've got a problem and you want to start displaying tile map data, you'll get to see, it'll say title background and then give you all the data about it, and you can try and work out what's wrong. Okay. Right, so the next bit is to actually tile the tile map. And we'll use the tile map manager to help us with this. Okay, and it wants to know what tile map we're doing. Well, it's this tile map, the one we just created. Risaki, keep your gob down, because it's all on my video for the whole world to see. And I've got lots of fans in Southeast Asia who keep subscribing for some unknown reason, even though they probably don't understand a word I'm saying. So thanks for that, Risaki. That's Risaki from Grays. Well, he doesn't live in Grays, no. He's currently in Grays. He comes from East London. Well, practically. This is all on my video. Cheers, Zaki. Right. Yeah, of course it is. I'm recording. Okay, so once we've told the Tilemap manager what tilemap we want to tile to, which is what that first bit does, we then say what point in the tilemap do we want to start tiling. Now, most of the time, this will be the top left-hand corner, so that's 0, 0, which we can specify with vector 2.0. And then the only other thing we've got to say is, right, well, what texture do you want me to chop to pieces? Because that's what it's going to do. Okay, it's going to go absolutely crazy. So it's going to be TX title back. And that should theoretically be all you need to do. Okay, that's actually tiled the map. The only other thing we need to do is to say to the tilemap manager, yeah, okay, you start displaying this then. And it'll do all the hard work for us. So we say tilemap manager.add, and we just say this. Okay, by default, the background, the tilemaps are background tilemaps, but there are different ones. So you can say type equals, and then you'll see that you can have a back tilemap that is drawn before any sprites. Okay, a background tilemap. You can have a final that is drawn after everything. So all the backgrounds have been drawn and all the sprites. So you can use that to like blank stuff out. So if you want to fade out a screen to black, what you can do is you can show an empty tilemap, and I'll show you how to do quick empty tilemaps with no graphics, and then change its alpha to 0 so it's totally transparent, and then slowly raise its alpha. So you can make a fancy tilemap with a timer that gradually increases itself so it's fully opaque, and that's AD fade out. Fade in exactly the same way. Okay, but we'll just keep it as a back one. Other than that, that should be enough to make it work. I'm just going to do F6 to build it, to make sure it builds. It says it's built. Right, I'm going to go back to my general logic and my show title subroutine. Remember, you can always use this picker when you're in a file, because it'll alphabetically list all the items in the file. The ones that are in grey are in other files. The ones that are in, well, bolder, they're actually in the current file that we're looking on. So I want show title. So to show me background, all I've got to say is new title tilemap, theoretically. Okay, so that, remember, whenever you're programming and you're creating objects and you're creating these class files, you're actually just creating definitions. They don't exist until you use them with the new keyword. Okay, so this creates an instance of that title tilemap class. Right, so if I run that, hopefully I'll have my dog about to approach the tree. And there you go. But the nice thing about tilemaps, something you can't do with sprites, you could have done that with the sprite, but you can do this with tilemaps. You can say scroll x equals 100, and the tilemap will magically scroll. Oh, what have I done wrong there? If I put wrap on. Notice, if you're going to do that with a tilemap, you need to make sure that the right-hand edge joins up or tessellates with the left-hand edge, if you're going to do stuff like that. It's jerky because of the recording software. Okay? So effectively, that is it. That's how you create a background. Just that little bit of code. I didn't even need any of this. So if I comment all that out, it'll still work. He says. There you go. But it's actually quite nice. You don't have to do it this way, but doing it as a class is the best way because it allows you to customize things easier later. Okay, and start doing little fancy things like timers that fade in and fade out. Okay, right. I'll put that on YouTube, but essentially that is the code. I'll leave that on screen so you can look at that to try and have a go at it. All right. Better stop that recording.